Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the sequiturs, the inferences, and the implications. Sequitur basically means an implication, a deduction, an inference, that are deduced and extracted from the excursion of Osamah. And these sequiturs are very distasteful and unpalatable with regard to the characters of Abu Bakr and Omar, and with regard to their legitimacy of their khilafah and the legitimacy of their imamah. In other words, we are going to be discussing the negative implications of the excursion of Osamah and the question marks that the excursion of Osamah put on the characters of Abu Bakr and Omar and their legitimacy. Now, since these implications are many, and each implication has to be substantiated by the proofs and documents from Omari sources, this lecture by itself is going to be brief and cursory, and will merely serve as a list of these implications. And inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, in the coming lectures, I will go more into detail, and I'll go over each negative implication and each unpalatable sequitur. And inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, I will substantiate my claims, and I will provide enough and substantive documents to back up my assertions, inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So the first ta'an, or the first degradation with regard to the characters of Abu Bakr and Omar, inferred from the incidents of the Jaysh of Osamah, the excursion of Osamah, is that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed the Amir, the leader of the excursion. And also, throughout his lifetime, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every army he dispatched, he appointed the Amir himself. And he did not even consult with others. Who should I appoint as the Amir? And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, each time he left Medina, went for an excursion outside Medina, he would always appoint someone who would replace him, who would act in his absence as his deputy, and go over and run the affairs of people in Medina. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam always appointed these people. Whereas the Umaris claim when he died, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, he did not appoint anyone as his successor. Nor the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam set out a mechanism, nor did he introduce a mechanism through which the Ummah should decide who should rule over them and who should succeed the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, this fact that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right before his death, he did not forget to appoint the commander of a rather small army compared to the fate of billions of Muslims who will come until the Day of Judgment. He did not forget that. He did not neglect their need, that armies need for an Amir, a leader. And he did not tell the army, just go out, and did not appoint an Amir. He didn't do that. Or to tell them the army should exit Medina and leave Medina, and then they should decide themselves. They have an election, and they should see who is the best candidate to lead them. He did not do that. He appointed the leader. And every time he left Medina, he did not leave for the people of Medina to decide who should replace him. So, appointment of a leader, that's the sunnah, the seerah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's us, the Shia, whose position is that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has appointed an imam for every age until the Day of Judgment to lead the Muslim community. And this jives in, and this is compatible with the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whereas the Umari claimed that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away and did not appoint anyone, and the Ummah decided that Abu Bakr should be the caliph, it's against the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and it contradicts the conduct of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So that is the first lesson that we learn from the event of the army of Osamah that has a serious implication with regard to the Khilafah of Abu Bakr and Omar. Number two, the second obvious fact that's very observable in the excursion of Osamah is that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam appoints as a high school student, a teenager, as the general over the army. And this teenager doesn't have any distinguished quality in ilm and knowledge and taqwa or piety, or his service to Islam, or migration to Medina, or to be a military genius. No, he was not extraordinary in any ways. And he put Abu Bakr and Omar under his command. Under his command. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a wise person. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is not only a wise person, he is the wisest of the wise. And not only he's wisest of the wise, he is guided by Allah day in and day out, every hour. Angels come to him with instructions, with message from God, from Allah. So he knows the implications. So he is aware of the implications of his actions. Imagine yourself that you are manager of a company and you have 10 employees. And now there's an opening, a promotion for someone to be a manager or someone to have a higher status. Now, if you favor a teenager, you favor someone with no experience over the other people who have been 30 years in the company, who have been 20 years with the company, who know the company day in and day out, their affairs. So what would they say? That you have not been fair, that you have played nepotism. But if you say I'm fair, there's no nepotism. It means what? It means that those those other 9 employees, although they have been 20 years in the company, but you don't trust them. You do not see them qualified to be promoted. And what would be the implication of this to an observer? That you promoted someone who was junior over the other people who were senior. The senior people will feel what? Will feel disparaged. And belittled, disrespected. Belittled and disrespected. And if there's an observer, he will say also, all these people, maybe they deserve to be disrespected. An observer will not say that you are not fair. Perhaps you are fair. But an observer will agree with you. This guy has been with the company for 20 years. He's old. And he has been there all the time. This other guy has been there 15 years. This other guy has been there 18 years. And you brought this new guy who has been with the company 1 month. And you gave him the promotion. The observer will say, he might agree with you that this was fair promotion because these other guys were basically idiots. These other people who have been 20 years, 15 years. They were just been freeloaders. But no doubt that you will agree that these people are belittled, disrespected, and disparaged. That this is an act that you put them on their place, basically. And if you are not fair, let's say if you are not fair, you played nepotism, then the observer will say, okay, you not only disparaged and belittled and disrespected these senior people, you also violated and abused their rights. They deserve promotion. But we know the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam does everything correct. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is fairest of the fair. Fairest of the fair. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, by putting this young man over an army, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam publicly disrespected, disparaged, and belittled. Disparaged and belittled Abu Bakr and Omar. And the Sahaba knew that. People at that time knew that. That's why they complained to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Well, what are you doing? This young man, commander over all these senior Sahaba. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stood his ground and insisted that this young man is going to lead. He is worth leadership. So, the first negative light that's shed over the characters of Abu Bakr and Umar from the excursion of Osamah is the divine disrespect. Disrespect. Divine disrespect and belittlement and disparagement of Abu Bakr and Umar. That's pretty obvious. Implication number 3. That is the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, by appointing Osamah over Abu Bakr and Umar, showed 2 things. 1, Osamah is better qualified. 2, Abu Bakr and Umar are less qualified. Less qualified. Osamah is better qualified for leadership. Abu Bakr and Umar are less qualified. And Osamah himself is no distinguished personality. So if Abu Bakr or Umar are less qualified than Osamah, then compared to Osamah, they are for sure less qualified compared to Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wassalam. They are for sure not, if they do not deserve to lead an excursion to the Roman Empire, and they have to be soldiers and subservient to Osamah, they for sure cannot replace Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and succeed Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And now, there's a detailed discussion with regard to this subject. That a person who is afdal, better qualified, better qualified. Let's see. Mafdhul, less qualified. Is it always necessary to promote the more qualified, better qualified over less qualified? And inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, we'll show to you from Quran and Sunnah. Quran, Sunnah, and conduct of Sahaba, and common sense, aql. That indeed is so. It's always afdal. A person who's more qualified, he should be promoted. It is not that Osamah was less qualified and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam promoted him anyways. That would be to accuse the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam of going against his own seerah, going against his own Quran, going against aql, and being unfair. In the dunya, in this dunya, people do that. People all the time promote somebody who's less qualified over someone who's more qualified. But these are people who play nepotism. They are not fair. They do abuse. But Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam are above that. So that was number 3. Number 4, the distasteful implication with regard to the Khilafah of Abu Bakr and Umar in their character that's inferred from the excursion of Osamah is the fact that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, by putting Abu Bakr and Umar and most of Sahaba, most senior Sahaba, senior companions, all of the well-known companions, under Osamah, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam put Abu Bakr, put Umar, most of senior companions, all of well-known companions. Under command of Osamah, he made a statement. sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he's wise. He knows what he's doing. He knows how people are going to see that. And he's facing this criticism from his Sahaba that why you are putting somebody young, somebody who is not from Quraysh. He doesn't have any familial grandeur. He doesn't come from a lineage that's very prominent. And Arab was a tribal community. He's a slave, son of a slave. He is ex-slave. He is 17, teenager. He doesn't have any prior service of being a soldier, except that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent him to one previous mission, and he killed somebody innocent. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was extremely upset at Osamah because somebody became Muslim. He said La ilaha illallah, and then Osamah killed him. And he was not supposed to do that. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was extremely upset. So somebody who has, even in military affairs, he had committed mistakes and errors, and that has angered Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By putting such a person over them, the implication is clear. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is leaving a message for the history that none of these people, none of these senior Sahaba are worthy of leadership. Because Osamah can never dream about becoming a Khalifa, can never dream about becoming a Caliph. Why? Because he's an ex-slave. He's not from Quraysh. He has nothing distinguished that will make him, that will qualify him to be a Khalifa. And yet he is commander over them. So, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's this message is clear. Number 5. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, by appointing Osamah as the Amir of this excursion, he did his best, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Made his utmost effort to make caliphate of Abu Bakr impossible. This was an utmost effort by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and very wise, well thought plan of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to prevent Abu Bakr from usurping the leadership of the Muslims. How? I'll explain that to you briefly now. It will come very in detail in the future. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew he was dying of his malady, and he did not tell anyone except his daughter Zahra salamullahi alayha. And I'll show that to you. So he knew he was dying. That's one. And he knew he would die in this disease, in this malady. That's important. And in this malady, number 2, he orders all these Sahaba to get out of Medina and go where? Go to the farthest possible area. Go to the farthest area possible. And there was no other place farther for them that they could possibly go as an army than the Roman frontiers. Number 2. When Osamah left and came back, it took him 40 days, more than 40 days to go and come back. So 40 days. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the 26th, per most accounts, on the 26th, he ordered these people to leave. 26th of Safar. Passed away 12th Safar. And had they left, 12th Rabiul Awal. He passed away 12th Rabiul Awal. Next month, 12th of Rabiul Awal. So, and within 2 weeks, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 15, 16 days, he passed away. This is a journey of over 40 days. So had they, and he, number 4, he insisted that they should leave, insisted that they should immediately leave. Osamah said, oh, you're so sick. He said, leave, go, take the army, get out, go march towards the Roman frontier. So, had his plan been carried out, the Sahaba did not agree to him, did not listen to him. The army did not leave. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they said, you're sick. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never, ever said, okay, you wait, until I get better. Oh, never said that. Never. He insisted that you should leave. Repeated, you should leave. Okay. And they didn't leave. But imagine if they had carried out the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's command and they had left. The army departs on, let's say, 30th of 3 days after he ordered them, on the 30th of Safar. They come back after 40 days or more than 40 days, around Rabi'ul Thani, the second Rabi'ul Thani, around the 10th or 20th. So after 40 days they come back. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passes away on the 12th or on the 5th or 1 week after they depart. Right? So all this time, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is buried. His funeral rituals are properly carried out. And there is no struggle for the succession. All these contenders of succession, such as Abu Bakr and the rest, when they come back after a month has passed since the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has died, they were in the Roman Empire's new caliph has been put on his seat. He has been pledged allegiance to, and these people, they can't do anything. Abu Bakr and Omar and their party, they can't do anything. They cannot. They can't. So this was a very well thought plan by the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to prevent, because it would have been impossible it was a well thought plan to prevent the khilafah of Abu Bakr, the bay'ah of Abu Bakr, the pledge of allegiance to Abu Bakr. Because if Abu Bakr and Omar, they were away in an excursion to the Roman Empire, it would have been impossible that they would have become Khalifa, never. But they didn't leave. And it was not an accident that they didn't leave. They had realized the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is going to die. And that's why they didn't leave. And then they immediately got together in the Saqifa of Bani Sa'ida to do something for Khilafah. Okay, that was our number 5. That was number 5. Let's go to number 6. The negative implication, that is number 6 in this sequence. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passes away. Sahaba, companions, gather where? At Saqifa. And at Saqifa, what happens? They do bay'ah to Abu Bakr eventually at the end. Okay. However, they were not, had the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's plan had been carried out, there would have never been Sahaba would have never been at Saqifa. By the virtue of the fact that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's command instructed the Sahaba to be on march towards the Roman frontiers, towards Rome. Their presence at the time of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's demise was an act of rebellion. Their presence at Saqifa of Bani Sa'ida was an act of transgression. Their presence at Saqifa when the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passed away was an act against the wishes of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never asked them to choose a caliph after him. Never. There's no such hadith, not even Umari sources, that I'm going to die and you choose a caliph for me. You choose a successor for me. Never. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not instruct them to gather at Saqifa Bani Sa'ida or any other Saqifa or any other locality to choose a caliph. No. It was haram for them, prohibited for them to be in Medina. They were to be on march to where? To Rome. So the entire Saqifa enterprise, the entire Saqifa gathering, this proceedings in Saqifa, all of it is an act of defiance, act of transgression, an act of violation of the divine command. It's a violation of the order of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, if that is the case, Saqifa is a sin, a violation, a transgression. And likewise the bay'ah that transpired there. Nobody, not Allah in His Quran, nor Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in His sermons, in His final will, anywhere, they told them to go to do bay'ah to somebody in Saqifa. They were not supposed to be in Medina. They were supposed to be outside Medina. Therefore, Saqifa in its bay'ah itself is an act of defiance against Allah's commands, against Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's command. It's an act of rebellion, transgression in any proceeding that is from start to end. From start to end. Is sin. Is worthy of wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 7. Abu Bakr is given bay'ah eventually at Saqifa. Bay'ah. This bay'ah to Abu Bakr, the Saqifa gathering was haram, bay'ah to anybody was haram, and bay'ah to Abu Bakr itself is also haram, is batil. And this is a very clear corollary and sequitur from our previous statement. Number 8. Sahaba generally, in general, including Abu Bakr and Omar, defied the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and disobeyed him when he ordered them to leave Medina, and they did not leave. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never allowed them to stay behind. He told them to leave. A Nabi is a Nabi. An apostle is an apostle. A Rasul is a Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Whether he is sick or whether he is in full health. His command is to be obeyed in sickness and in good health. And he ordered them to leave. They did not leave. So this is a collective defiance over Sahaba, is applicable to all Sahaba. And then after the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed, Abu Bakr and Omar, they never left with the army. Abu Bakr and Omar stayed. And this is another sin that particularly applies to Abu Bakr and Omar. The first sin was the delay. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ordered them to leave and they did not leave. The second is specifically to Abu Bakr and Omar. And anybody who disobeys the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Quran is very clear about that, such a person, that he is worthy of wrath of Allah, adhab, and punishment of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And such a person is, if the defiance is to a certain extent that he is turning away from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's an act of kufr. And those reasons will come inshaAllah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Number 9. Since we proved that Abu Bakr's bay'ah, his khilafah in everything is void because he appointed Umar. How did Umar become Khalifa? Not through pledge of allegiance, not through shura, not through council. No, he became Khalifa by appointment, by an act of final will, by an act of appointment by Abu Bakr, that he appointed him as heir. Since Abu Bakr himself is not legitimate, likewise, His appointments are not legitimate. Therefore, Omar's Khilafah is also batil, is illegitimate for many reasons, including the Jaysh of Osamah. Number 10. Abu Bakr was made a soldier, a subservient to Osamah. The claim that he was allowed to lead prayers is void, because he cannot be in the army of Osamah and be appointed at the meantime to lead prayers for the Muslims while the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is sick. Therefore, because it's proved through Sahih Ahadith, which I have shown to you, that Abu Bakr was part of the army of Osamah, it follows that the story of his salah is void. And I have a series of speeches with regard to the salah of Abu Bakr. You could follow those speeches, why the salah of Abu Bakr is batil, is not true, for many reasons, including what is here, Jaysh of Osamah. And Jaysh of Osamah is one of the reasons, not the only reason, why Abu Bakr was not appointed to lead prayers. Furthermore, the person who narrates the Abu Bakr's appointment to lead prayers is Aisha, who is a self-confessed liar. Aisha, self-confessed liar. Furthermore, Abu Bakr was, per Sahih Hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, was pushed away by the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and dislodged from leading prayers. Basically, he was fired, pushed away from leading prayers. So that indicates that his salah was not per permission of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Furthermore, in order to consider that Abu Bakr, because we know for a fact that Abu Bakr was part of the army, those ahadith are sahih, part of the army. In order to say that, okay, he was appointed also to lead prayers, therefore, appointed to lead prayers, his duty to lead prayers was an exemption for him, that he no longer is required to be present in the army. In order for this argument to work, the Umaris have to produce that hadith that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first of all, we demand, and it's a fair demand, show us that hadith, that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that Abu Bakr is no longer required to be part of the army of Osamah because he should lead prayers here. There is no such hadith. So it's just a claim. Second, in order for this to work as an exemption, appointment to lead prayers to work as an exemption for Abu Bakr's obligation to be part of Osamah's army, a sequential order between these two events have to be proved. It has to be proved that first Abu Bakr was made part of the army and then he was appointed to lead prayers. Because as long as it's possible that he was appointed to lead prayers and he was part of the army, it's entirely possible that he was first appointed to lead prayers, which we do not agree to in the first place. Let's assume that's true. If he was appointed to lead prayers and then he was pushed to be part of the army of Osamah, in order for leading prayers to be an exemption from his presence to the army of Osamah, the Umaris have to provide us with a timeline, chronological timeline. That, okay, first he was assigned to lead prayers, and then first he was assigned to part of army, and then he was assigned to lead prayers. Because it's possible, entirely possible, that he was part of the army and he came for some reason to Medina. He came for some reason to Medina and he led prayer too. That doesn't mean he was exempted from the army. And also, because I've mentioned this, because the army camp was outside Medina, at least 1 hour walk each way. It's impossible for Abu Bakr to have been called to lead prayers while he was in the camp. So there's contradiction in Aisha's narration, because Bilal comes and gives azan. Bilal delivers adhan, right? The call to prayers. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, according to Aisha, tell Abu Bakr to lead prayers. And then somebody goes to get Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr is where? Abu Bakr is a Jurf. Which is at least, they've said 3 miles or more, or even 12 miles from Medina. So that's at least hour's walk. 1 hour at least or more each way. And prayers cannot wait that long. We all know that. So therefore, there are question marks, serious question marks on this matter. Number 11 and number 12. The negative implications inferred from the excursion of Osamah. Abu Bakr, Omar. We proved that for so many reasons, all these 11 reasons that we presented to you, that only inferred from Jaysh of Osamah, from the army of Osamah. Now other reasons, there are many reasons for Abu Bakr and Omar not to be qualified to lead Muslims. But only these 10 reasons that I showed to you from the army of Osamah. They prove that Abu Bakr and Omar's caliphate and imamah are illegitimate and un-Islamic and against the will of Allah and against the will of His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. However, we know that Abu Bakr called himself Caliph, Khalifatul Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Bakr and Omar gave themselves the titles of rulers of Muslims. They took Fadak as rulers from the daughter of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They dispatched armies. They killed people. They did many things. While their khilafah remains batil, void, illegal. Allah did not appoint Abu Bakr as Khalifa in Quran or Umar as Khalifa. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there is no hadith that he said that Abu Bakr should be my caliph after me or Umar. No hadith, not even in Umari books. Whereas there are all these reasons that Abu Bakr and Umar's khilafah were batil, were wrong, un-Islamic. And if that is proven, then وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ, the verses of Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 44, 45, and 47. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Those who do not rule per Allah's decree, they are fasiq, they are corrupt. الظالمون ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله المائدة فأولئك هم الظالمون. Those who do not rule per Allah's decree, per Allah's revelation, they are transgressors. الكافرون ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون. And those who do not rule per Allah's decree, per Allah's revelation, per Allah's command, they are kafir. Abu Bakr and Umar ruled, but they did not rule because they were appointed by Allah. They called themselves caliphs, successors of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but Allah and His Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never appointed them as their successors. All these reasons, only that what I showed you from inferred from the Jaysh of Osamah, the army of Osamah, clearly and manifestly established that Abu Bakr and Umar's khilafah are batil. Yet they called themselves khalifa and they ruled. And whoever rules, but not per Allah's decree, per Allah's declaration, Quran calls them fasiq. Corrupt, degenerate, transgressor, and kafir. So these 3 qualities are clearly proved for Abu Bakr and Umar. Now that we proved to you, showed to you summarily these 12 characteristics, these 12 implications and mata'in with regard to the khilaf of Abu Bakr and Umar that are deduced and inferred and extrapolated from the excursion of Osamah. Inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala. In the next episodes, I will present to you with further detail, with more evidence, which by showing you the texts and translating them honestly and truthfully, that indeed that is the case. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.